G'day guys, welcome back to Beers and Breakevens for round 23. Obviously brought to you by Blue Wealth Property as we are every single week, and we've got the head honcho, the halfback, the coach. You a captain coach, a halfback? What do you see yourself as?
No, I don't think I'm a captain coach. I think I'm a captain, but I don't know. That's a good question. I am a captain coach, actually.
Yeah,
I'm going to take
coach.
that. Yeah, I am a
And
captain
halfback,
coach, yeah.
or are you...
Am I a halfback? Probably.
You got a bit of hooker about you, I reckon.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'll try it. Mate, sometimes you got to get in the trenches. So yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. I feel like I'm in the trenches at the moment. I'm travelling like a fucking...
Yeah, mate, you've been doing some yards.
Oh, my God. Freaking flies are going up. It's good.
Love that. How good. And obviously, Tony, he put up the $5,000 cash prize for the winner of Beers and Breakevens this year, and it's $5,500 if you're an NRL club member. Little cherry on top from T. How good.
Unless you're a Parramatta supporter, and then we're going to make it like 4.5. Can we do that? We'd have to reduce it.
Your prize, mate. You do what you want.
For our sake, I'm hoping it's a Parramatta person. I think that'd be hilarious.
That'll be a bit of content.
Yeah, sure. T, what's going on? Two T's over there.
I was wondering if I was going to get an introduction there, if I was just going to be completely brushed. Boys, always my favourite time of the season, getting wedged between two lunatics and getting peppered for 10 minutes. So looking forward to this one.
Yeah, how good. Now, Tony, obviously Blue Wealth Property, major sponsor this year. Mate, we've had a heap of traction this year. It's been great.
We have, man. You know, I've actually really enjoyed chatting to Beers and Breakevens listeners and followers at our events and everywhere, mate. We had one in Adelaide.
Yeah, I saw that. How was that?
We had obviously a lot of them in Brisbane and all around Sydney. So that's been pretty cool. Few of the followers have bought property and invested around the country. The last one bought a house in Perth. So that's, you know, I love it. I've two great passions of mine, mate, rugby league and property. So pretty cool to be able to combine them in that way.
I can imagine you having an hour meeting with the Beers and Breakevens clientele, and they come through and you sit there and chat SuperCoach for 50 minutes. You go, shit, we're here for business.
100%.
We've got 10 minutes to spare.
Well, the one that we did in Brisbane, the bloke showed me his team and he was in top 1,000 at the time. And then I'm trying to get strategies from him, and Mort is going to me, mate, we're starting in 2 minutes. I'm like,
how good. Mate, what's going on with Blue Wealth? What's coming up over the next few weeks?
Mate, pretty exciting time of the year for us because we have every year 2, sometimes 3 property showcases. So they're essentially our big gigs. The last one we had, you guys might remember, I think it might have been March, where we had over 1,000 people register. We had over 800 people jump on. It was a Zoom. I know you guys love a good webinar. So this is a webinar. So the webinar's on. It's on the 15th, whatever that Tuesday is, in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's the 15th. 15th of August. So our exclusive property showcase, it'll be another monster. I was actually on the ground on Monday. Took a day trip, just checked out the site again and just sort of crossing our T's and dotting our I's, ready for the big gig.
Property showcase, explain.
So property showcase, we're launching a property. So most of our events, as you guys know, are education based. So we don't really talk about property per se in the event. And many years ago, we had lots of clients of ours who had, you know, I've been doing this for more than 20 years now. So people will go, you know what, Tony, I'm already educated. I've already invested with you. I just want to know what I should buy next. Yeah. And so that's where the property showcase was born. And so now we do that a couple of times a year. Most of the people that jump on are people that have known about Blue Wealth now for many years. But it also is an opportunity for lots of new people to jump on and check out what kind of property our research is leading to. So bloody great property.
Yeah, and you nailed it the first time. It's the 15th of August, 7 p.m. till 8:30 p.m.
Awesome.
One not to be missed. And mate, I mean, for a lot of people out there that probably aren't looking to buy right now, I'd highly advise just jump in there and have a look at it. I was intrigued last time.
It's pretty cool.
A few SuperCoach questions thrown in the chat too, which was good.
Mate, what about the chat last time? The chat went longer than the event. Because, you know, in times like this, a lot of people got a lot of questions about property, yeah?
Yeah.
So I was actually in the car talking to our property management integrator on the way down here, Helen, who works out of Melbourne. So she's one of my 3 Melbourne teammates. And rents in Sydney, some of our clients who bought in Alexandria about 10 years ago, their rents have gone up in the last 18 months, $400 a week.
Yep.
From $600 to $1,000 a week. Jesus. So there's a lot of questions around for people talking about, you know, where's the rental market going? We've actually got an event on Thursday, which is what we call our pop-up. It's called Rent Money is Bread Money. So if you want to know about the rental market, where it's going and what's happening with that, make sure you jump on, and then we'll probably do a live Facebook, Instagram thing next week. Yeah, so
nice.
look out for that.
Yeah,
All happening.
fantastic.
All happening, mate. All happening.
And mate, most importantly, Supercoach side, what's doing?
Mate, I'm so glad that the things have worked out the way they have. So as you know, I won it a couple of years ago, and the champs curse hit me last year. I missed the finals, and the champs curse has struck again because Dave, who won it last year, missed out on finals this year.
Yeah, right.
So it's a real thing.
That's just the salary
Is that
cap
second
working,
year syndrome?
mate.
It is a salary cap working. Lim's topped the group. I mentioned to you boys before, Aiden is in the top 1,000. So even though we're playing head-to-head, he's killing it overall.
He's a serial winner, Aiden. He
He's
always
pretty
seems to be
well.
up
He's
there.
not a serial winner. He's South Sydney, mate. He's
Serial
South Sydney.
high achiever.
He's South Sydney. He's going. He pushes it to the end, but can't seem to get himself over the line.
He's
so.
always at the dance floor, never
He is.
dancing, right,
Is
Matty?
he? That's right.
That doesn't have a mind.
So the
It's
question
probably
is:
for the
is he going to win it this year? So he's got to be. He's pretty short favourite. His uncle came first, Lim, but he's got no trays left. So. And my sons Joseph and Ben and I were vying with 3 other people for the last 2 spots in the 8.
Yep.
Ben and I got 2 of them, 2 of the 3 spots. Unfortunately, Joseph missed out.
Gone.
Yeah, he got
Cop
done.
that, Joseph.
He got done by I think it was by Cleary updates because he's opposition captain Cleary.
The West Tigers of the league. Always West Tigers league,
Yep.
always 9th.
Yeah. So poor Joseph has missed out. He's doing his HSC trials at the moment, so I'm not unhappy about him missing out. Probably should be studying more and less Supercoach. But I'll play Benjamin this weekend, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get dusted.
Now, shout out to Joseph. He has really caught my attention over the last few months with the Mighty Serpents.
What about the Serpents, eh?
I love it. I'm hooked on it.
Yeah. So you should jump on, follow them. TKS Serpents. It's a private. So he goes to Kings, plays rugby. Decided this year he didn't want to play too competitively, so he played in the social team, which is the Serpents. So it's basically just him and his mates having fun, taking the piss. There's pretty much a blue every weekend. But mate, they're having a lot of fun, the Serpents.
Mate, I'm loving the content. I am hooked on it. I'm more engaged in some of the NRL
Well,
sides.
Big D-Dog, who runs the content on the Serpents page, you'll be pretty chuffed you said that, mate. So.
Shout out to D-Dog. That's unreal. Now, mate, you're obviously a head-to-head player.
Yep.
And we're going to mix up the show a little bit today because that was sort of our talking point today, wasn't it, T?
Yeah, so the topic for this week was it is going to be around week 1 of head-to-head finals. So they kick off this week for the majority of leagues. Do say it time and time again, but check your league settings. Some leagues will start finals next week, but I think for the majority of them out there, they start this week.
This week, yep.
Now, Guru, sorry, voice going already. Guru didn't have much to offer, so Tony, thankfully, you're a head-to-head specialist who... You're not a convert who gets to round 20 in your overall league. In the overall, you sit in 25k and you change your mind. From the start of the season, head-to-head's the focus.
That's all I care about.
What
mate.
I wanted to speak about for all those head-to-head focused players this year, all the overall players who have thrown in the towel on winning the top goal and are focusing on the head-to-head they've made finals, is just the tricks of the trade around head-to-head finals that you need to be aware of and looking at going into week 1. Now, I'll mutter off a few of them that I have, and boys, feel free to chime in with your thoughts. And I think the big thing is leading into round 23 of NRL SuperCoach, the team you select on Thursday afternoon could be vastly different to the one you finish the round with.
100%. And I think that's probably one of the real keys. I just want to say you're using the word specialist very loosely there, mate. But yeah, for me, when you think about the overall, like a couple of times during the year, I've had to chase my opponent. So I've taken the captain off Nico, for example, who ends up getting 150, and put it on Kiraz, who, in the hope that if I match my opponent with a Nico captain, I'm going to lose, guaranteed. So then I switch it to somebody who's probably not going to score as well and rely on the luck of the gods, right? Now, sometimes it pays off, very rarely, where Nico might get a HIA or, he might have one of those games where he gets a 50 or 60 and then Kiraz gets a, 120 and next thing you know, you've basically jagged the win, yeah? So the head-to-head game is very different. Whereas if you're an overall player, you wouldn't dream of doing that, right? You want to take the guaranteed points of a Nico captaincy and know that that's the game to play. And you're also thinking about all the other, in your cases, 1,000 or 2,000 people ahead of you that are also going to make that same decision because you're also thinking about what are those guys going to do. It's almost like a tipping comp, right? So you guys talked last week about Parramatta potentially beating Melbourne. I thought about tipping Para as a result of that. I ended up tipping Para, but I shouldn't have tipped Para. I should have tipped Melbourne because I was coming second. because all the people around me were getting to tip Melbourne, right? So I should have stuck with Melbourne as a strategy. So it's a little bit like that, yeah?
Yeah,
so,
that's it. And mate, the point there is, like I say it week in, week out, it's never more applicable than this week, first week of head-to-head finals. You've got to watch your opponent's team like a hawk. And the first one you touched on there was captain. So essentially the entire weekend you assess where you're at. You might be ahead by a mile in your head-to-head matchup. You might be behind by a mile. And you have to act accordingly. So if you're ahead by a mile, let's start with skippers. I think a big one this week, and a good example to use is, let's say a side owns Cody Walker and Latrell Mitchell, two fairly highly owned players. If both of your sides go into the round and go, Latrell Mitchell's our best player, we're going to skipper him, you can nearly guarantee that game being, I think, the fifth, or it might be the sixth game of the round, Saturday night, 7:30, a good matchup for Latrell. If they're behind, they're going to be flipping the captaincy to Cody Walker,
100%.
a bloke with a high ceiling. So you watch that, and if you're ahead by a mile, you go, shit, I want to have the same captain as them.
Yep.
So right up until the last minute before kickoff, watch your opponent's team. You can go into the game day live, and if they move it to Cody Walker, you will be able to see it. Now, this is where you also have to, if you get a particularly tricky Supercoach out there, they'll flip to Cody. They'll also be watching your team, and with 10 seconds to go, if they see you go to Cody, they're back to the trail.
You better not be in 3G.
Yeah,
because
correct. Get yourself. Tip number one: getting damn good internet service.
So Dave in our comp is renowned for the late trade, right? So he'll leave things. He's very powerful. Whereas I'm an anxious personality. I like to get it all out of the way straight up, right? So I'm an open book. You know, so he's Vietnamese. I always call him the Viet Cong when it comes to sneaky Supercoach moves. So, but for me, like this weekend's a perfect example, right? I'm playing my son Benjamin. I'm probably going to get dusted. I had Val. He didn't have Val. So my plan was I was going to nufty out my hooker. I've got enough trades to be able to trade Harry Grant in and out if I need to, right? Depending on who I'm playing.
Great idea. I love that.
Yeah. So you love the nuff. You love the hook enough. Anyway, so...
You say enough or...
So, and then what I was going to do was I was going to trade one of my cheapy CT dubs up to Mazu because Benjamin's got Mazu, right? And I think they've got the Gold Coast this week, right? Now Val's out. I've traded Val to CNK, right? And now I can't bring in Mazu. So if Mazu has a big game, I'm gone. So the decision I need to make now is, do I bring in CNK? Do I trade Val for CNK? To try and get one up on him? Or do I trade Val to Mazu to match him and try and avoid the pain? So it's do you go aggressive or do you go conservative? And those decisions are critical. If Mazu, I need Mazu basically to die, right? If Mazu dies, then I'm probably in with a shot. But I reckon, that decision may either be genius or tragic, and you'll only know in hindsight.
Yeah, well, he hasn't died in
shout out to Greg, just hang in there for us, mate.
Yeah.
Hasn't died in about 16 weeks as a non-owner. I've seen it every time. So good luck with that one, mate.
Same.
And the other one is around your trades. Again, where you're positioned. Let's say you get 4 games into the week and you're thumping your opposition. You might go, sweet, I'm going through the next week comfortably, and you might have had a trade planned. Reverse it, don't make it, whatever. Save that for the following week.
Yep.
Probably more importantly, if you find yourself behind and you go, we've only got 2 more unique players to come, they're not high-ceiling players, I'm not catching this bloke, you're going to have to trade your trade plans.
Correct.
And that's where you find these blokes with really good matchups late in the round. A guy like Campbell Graham coming up against that weak Sharks left edge is a bloke in the third last game. You might be able to throw to him. You might be able to throw on someone like Hudson Young in the final game of the round coming up against the Tigers. High enough upside players there. Parramatta play the Dragons Sunday at 2 p.m. Plenty of options you can go there. So your trade plans are likely going to change across the weekend.
100%. And you know, it does, for those who are playing both, obviously those decisions are impacted. The other thing about head-to-head that I think a lot of people don't realise as well is that most head-to-head players have multiple head-to-head competitions. Yeah. So they might want to make a decision in our comp that's going to hurt them in another comp. So then that becomes another variable, right? So my son Joseph, for example, is in multiple comps with his mates. So he hasn't made finals in ours, but he's in the finals in another one. But had he made finals in both, then he's got to make decisions about which one he cares about the most, So there's a lot of variables, and trades like the overall in head-to-head trades are important, because if my opposition has SJ and they've got a great run, and let's say Nico was playing Penrith, do you trade out Nico? I mean, that's not a good example because SJ had a bye. But you know what I'm saying? Say they brought in Hughes. right, as an alternative, and then all of a sudden you're up. So that three-way matchup between Cleary, Hines, and SJ, I reckon is going to decide a lot of head-to-heads this year.
Big
decisions.
And the overall race for that matter.
Yeah.
And like another great example of that is someone like, and we'll get to him very shortly, but Kalen Ponga, who you'd probably argue has the highest upside and best matchup going into this week. In overall, you might go, if you're the 1% that don't own him, aka me, you might go stuffed. I'll just ride it to the end of the season, not go him. In head-to-head, you go, I have to get this bloke in because if I don't, I'm losing my head-to-head this week.
Yep. Absolutely.
I've never really been a head-to-head player, but Timmy was explaining to me this morning, just sort of said, pretend it's draft, essentially.
Yep.
The other angle I would suggest as well, for example, this week, if you're one of the teams that if you win and you get next week off, take into consideration that you get next week off. The week after that, for example, the Broncos have the bye.
Yep.
So you're Reece Walsh,
Correct.
you're Payne Haas, these sort of guys, you're not going to utilise them this year. You're only going to use them for one more game, and it could be an opportunity to free up cash and go bonkers in that other week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have to think about that as well, right? I have to think about, sure, I'm playing Benjamin this week, and I need to win, otherwise I'm out, right? Because I finished 6th. But I also need to think about if I win, who am I playing next week? Who am I likely to play next week? Who have they got?
Yeah.
And who's got the bye?
Who's got the matchup?
So
that I might need
and keep track of who you are playing next week too.
You have to.
And who they've got, etc.
You have to
think about.
Yeah.
God, imagine getting to head-to-head and being a proper serious player and having no trades left. I couldn't think of anything worse.
Well, Lim's like that. So he's finished first.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many trades he's got, but I reckon if I had to guess, I'd say he's got 2 trades left.
Yeah.
He needs to win this week, right, to give himself the week off at least. But we've got another 2, 3, 4, depending on if he wins or loses. He's got 4 matches, 2 trades, not enough.
It's one of these
He needs a lot of luck.
It's one of these weeks where it's bittersweet. I'm very glad I'm not a head-to-head focused player because you have to just watch it like a hawk all weekend and be so on the ball. At the same time, head-to-head's so much fun. Like when you come against your mates and it's all on the line.
Best. So,
I do love that, but you can't realistically do both.
I must admit, this weekend, if I lose to my son, I'll cope because it's my son. But if it was anyone else, I'll be burning, mate.
It's my favourite part of the year. All my mates are overall players, but just like as the year goes on, that you get the comment in the group chat. I think I'm just going to focus on head-to-head now. Oh, you poor bastard. It's happened again. So I think there's only 2 of us left that are actually focusing on overall still. So fingers crossed. All right. We let him go. We let him roam free.
Yeah, I'm sick of him.
He's a Bronco that needs to be unleashed. Mate, Canterbury, it's been a tough year as well. We'll just touch on them quickly. Injuries and whatnot.
It was really good to see the win. We certainly can try and find a way to lose a game.
Yep.
Big Presto, I've still got him, makes that break up the middle. Avarillo on the inside and then throws him a bullet straight to his nose. So I was spewing about that. I only ended up winning by a small margin. So I would have been, and my opposition didn't play Harry Grant.
Yeah, right.
He plays Harry Grant. I'm
probably listened to 2 fucking idiots last week.
I'm on the season.
I wonder who that was.
Well, he's a Parramatta fan.
Didn't
Josh
play him.
Josh is a Parramatta fan.
Holy
but you know what? I reckon
the team's good then.
You could definitely make an argument for not playing him. Yeah,
we tried.
In hindsight, it's easy. Yeah. You try. You're talking about no Nelson. No Nelson.
Someone sent a question in this week and goes, Nelson's back. Should I sell Harry Grant?
Cut ties with him.
Yeah.
So good.
Done.
So, mate, I'm there's something about winning a lot of comps when you're a kid that helps you to maintain the long-term vision of what the Dogs are doing. But my sons are not so patient.
I was going to say, Doggies fans born 2005 and beyond, not so
So
patient.
poor Joseph has gone through, it's his last year, he's year 12. We have not played finals while he's been at high school.
Good God.
Like, I can't even understand that. When I was at high school, we won multiple comps and we were Melbourne or Penrith.
Yeah.
You know?
He must have nearly been born. Was he 05 then?
06.
Or 06.
Yeah.
Oh,
06.
Bad luck, mate.
We both cried in the 2012 grand final. So
yeah, 06 year his born was also was 06 Berrigan year. Berrigan prelim final tour. Yeah.
No, that was Hodges at fullback. Willie Mason goes down the tunnel, starts giving it to the Broncos because we're up at half time. Justin Hodges comes out and plays one of the great all-time second halves.
He throws that pass to Berrigan.
Out of fullback.
Yeah, it was the same game, wasn't it?
Out of fullback and knocks us out. We win the comp in 06 if Mason just keeps quiet.
Berrigan makes that break about 2 minutes before half time, goes the length, And that was the day. That was the season. You win the comp with him if that line break isn't made.
Yep.
Anyway.
Webke had a big second half as well. He
tends to do that, doesn't he? Webke. What a champion. All right, Tony, we're going to let you go, mate.
Boys.
I think we're going to have Mortz on over the next few weeks, so we look forward to that, catching up with him.
Yep.
And, mate, thanks for your support, as always. Really appreciate
My pleasure.
it.
Yeah, I'll see you guys at the check handover, I'm assuming, or something or another. We'll have to work out.
I think we're going to have to get a big dribbly check.
Yeah, we'll have to get one of those big things, maybe.
I don't want it to fit on the camera. I want it to be fucking huge.
Too huge.
Real carry on.
Well, we'll have to have a chat about that.
How
That
good.
might be worth more than the $5,000. We'll see how it goes.
Could be. All right, mate. Thank you for joining us once again, and
boys.
we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
All right, guys, Tony has left us now, so we'll continue with the show. We have got Team List Tuesday. Actually, we'll go through the highest scorer from the weekend first. The highest scorer was Bulldog Boxer. That is Mick, 1,561. A very, very good knock. Send an email to beersandbreakevens@gmail.com. The other emails over the last 2 weeks, I have got them all, guys, so no stress. I'm just waiting to get more hats in to send out to you guys. So they are on their way. They'll be there very, very soon. For the overall rank in that group, Tim, my computer consistently shits itself at this moment
Leave it
each
with me, mate.
and every week. It's
Every
incredibly
time.
impressive.
So we've got, which one of these groups are we? That'd be the old Beers and Breakevens. Group leader, mate. Oh, still there. Raging Pole, James. That's Bobby. Bobby,
Yep.
who we mentioned last week. Dummy and so he's in third place overall. We're smoking the top 10. Dummy and run, Aiden. Possibly a new head there. He's in fourth overall. Here come the Bears. Glenn, he's been thereabouts all season as well. I feel like I've seen him in the years gone by as well. Could be wrong. 6th overall. Years let's gone. Evan in 8th overall. So we've got 4 of the top 10. We want one
Evan's
of them boys.
been hanging around for a few weeks
Yeah,
too.
we want one of them boys to bring it home for us.
Yeah, how good. So keep trucking, boys. Not too far away now. I mean,
know.
if you're James sitting in third, you're obviously looking down the barrel of 50K, but you're also looking down the barrel of 50,500. 55,500, just like a game of Yahtzee.
We're really close in. 5 rounds to go. Mate, some big buys to come, people running low on trades. I think we are set for a whirlwind end of this season.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
I think shit is going to hit the fan, and I hope that I'm on the right side of that fan.
Yeah, and I mean, even just look at last night, Jack DeBellin and Val Holmes.
Gone,
what are the odds
gone.
of there being two well-owned players, both going to judiciary to keep their season alive, and they both fucking lose?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Val was about 50% owned. Like, we sat here this time last year, and notoriously I played a long game. I play to make big moves at this time of year, the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks, in particular last 3 or 4, I want to make some big moves. Last year, there just wasn't as much carnage laid on as I had planned for, and I sort of hung around there all right. Didn't make the sort of big moves in the last couple of weeks. This year, and mate, I might be wrong, but you add in the fact that there's a bye every single week. You add in 2 rounds to the year, a longer season, restings, all sorts of things. I think we're going to see some huge things. This is obviously me being optimistic, but how do you feel?
No, I feel exactly the same way as you. And even like the chat we just had with Tony about head-to-head, he said one of the blokes is in his comp is in the top 1,000 at the moment. Like when these buys come around, if he's without South Sydney Rabbitohs or Brisbane Broncos, he'll make a move there to win games. So I think you'll see even more movement.
Yeah, there's people in the top 10 that have got like 1-2 trades left.
Yeah.
And there was a stat during the week, I think something like 6 or 7 of the top 10 owned Val Holmes. Mate, I think it's going to get nasty. And bloody hell, that excites me.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Yeah, for us with trades, unreal. I think we're really well set up. We just haven't moved over the
I'm
last
just
6
sick of saying that,
weeks.
not seeing results.
Yeah.
So, mate, hopefully it's coming for us.
So on the weekend, I scored 1,247. I went down 400 spots, sitting with a rank of 5,062. How'd you go?
1263, mate, for me, hence why the chalice sits on my side 2 weeks on the trot. So do you have your points overall there? Geez, we must be tied.
My estimation is that it's 103 points.
103 points.
I'm 25,496.
You've got me by 103 points with
yeah.
5 rounds to go.
How good's that?
With trades in hand.
Yeah.
It is set up so well.
Yeah, it is set up very, very well. It's going to be a wild run home. Let's dive into Team List Tuesday. Roosters Manly Thursday night from the SCG. For Manly, Vega jumps on the wing. Burbo on the bench for the Chooks. Josh Wong on the edge. Cheese at 9. No Jake Turpin has thrown me for 6. I was shocked by that one. It doesn't impact us all that much though. Hutcho on the bench as well. Just a little guy to keep an eye on. He's on the bench for the Roosters. El Zakim. He played for Lebanon in the World Cup. Came from Parramatta. I think he will be in first grade soon, but I think Josh Wong, he's the talking point, isn't he?
If Egan Butcher was out longer, I would have been very tempted to get Josh Wong in. Yeah. Just because, we'll get to my trades shortly, but I'm looking at nothing one player out this week, and we know that I hate nothing, but there also aren't a lot of great options around the 2 to 250k mark to get in alternatively, but if Egan Butcher was out longer, he only had a concussion, so I would suspect he comes back in next week on the edge. But if Josh Wong kills it and potentially wins that spot, there's some scoring upside there.
Well, this is the other guy that we were talking about the other day was Laybut from the Cowboys as a potential guy. He's not in the squad.
Devastating. As soon as that Val came out and I said, beauty, I'll get Laybut in just as a bit of an emergency to come in if required. Not in there.
Not in there. Yeah, that was a stinger.
Who got named at centre? Was it
No, Val got named at centre.
Oh, so...
But Brendan Elliott and Kyle Feld are the only outside backs on the extended.
So they could send Valamai to centre.
Yeah, I reckon he's a serious chance to go to centre.
Which does not help the Stallions at all.
No, it does not.
Brendan Elliott, on the other hand, 234k. Load up.
Talk to me. Titans, Warriors.
Dual position.
What is he, fullback?
Seated up fullback. No, he won't be coming.
Shout out to Brendan Elliott. Fuck, he's been a toiler.
Yeah, he has a crack. I like him as well.
Titans and the Warriors, Friday, 6 p.m. For the Titans, AJ Rimson at fullback, JC at 14, Aaron Clark at 13. For the Wars, no real huge changes there. I think it's just worth noting Jazz Tavanga on the extended. I don't think it'll really hurt anyone or make a difference, but anything to touch on in that game?
No, I hope Jazz comes into the side and plays halfback for Sean Johnson.
That'd be great. Penrith v Storm. Also, guys, the Roosters Manly game, the Thursday night game, will be on the live stream on Hello Sport. Yeah. So go to Hello Sport YouTube. You can come and join us there. That'll be a giggle. Penrith v Storm, Friday, 8 p.m. from Bluebet. For the Storm, no Justin Olam. Nass is on the edge. Katoa's on the bench. Pappy's back in reserve grade, so that is a great story. But even just looking at that team list, mate, with Nass and Katoa look a lot more dangerous, don't they?
They look more dangerous. I think Eli Katoa will start in the edge and Nass will go to the middle. If not this week, then they're getting a few minutes into Eli Katoa, certainly next week. So you wouldn't buy him this week with the tough Penrith matchup, but Eli Katoa is a smoky little pod for the run home.
Huge smoky.
Yeah, but I reckon he starts on the edge.
Especially if Hughesy's finding some form too. Yeah. We've then got, for the Panthers, Hosking's been named at centre, Isaac Tungo on the extended. I've obviously got Hosking in my draft team, Timmy, and when I looked at this team list, I didn't even look to see if Hosking was at centre. I actually went through the forward pack, the bench, the extended bench, the New South Wales Cup team, and then went, what the fuck has happened to Hosking, before I came back and realised he was at centre. But Isaac Tungo on the extended, I'm expecting him to play. I've got no mail, nothing whatsoever. That's just my vibe.
No, you reckon I'm good at 2RF? I'm way better at centre. That's my spot. Look out. Tungo's not coming back into this side if he doesn't play this week.
Well, Jaden Brayley's in some trouble up there at Newcastle. You're taking his spot too. Super Saturday, we've got the Cows and the Broncos, 3 p.m. from Townsville. For the Cows, Val Holmes suspended, either Kyle Felt or Elliott in, whether they be centre wing, whoever moves, we'll see how it plays out. Lukey's back on the bench. Hess is on the edge. Taumalolo in the front row. I think the Cowboys will sort of run as name there. What do you reckon? Obviously minus Val.
Yeah, I think so, mate. The only one would potentially there, Helam Lukey, but he's been out for a while, so they'll probably want to get some minutes under his belt, come back into the side. And the only other one there that we sort of spoke a little bit last week about, Kuli Kefu Fini Fuiaki.
Yeah.
I've pronounced that okay. Nowhere to be seen?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I'm not sure
He's out of the squad entirely, so there must have been an injury of some sort.
I would say so, yeah. For the Broncos, Piakura back in, but also Jordan Ricky on the extended bench, so I think that jersey is still well and truly Jordan Ricky's when he is sweet. Finns and the Knights. Saturday, 5:30. There's a double header coming to you from Perth for the Dolphins. Nicarima at centre, Hamisa at 1. I would assume those two swap.
I would be stunned if they don't.
Yeah, that'd be wild if they didn't. Tafade at centre. Milf and Sean O'Sullivan in the halves. Lemuelu, he's been named in the second row, but he has got to pass a HIA this week, obviously.
So... I shouted out the poor old Spy on the Playbook podcast last night because he was having a stormer of a round. He got 1,400 plus.
Yeah.
Anti-potted Nico like last week before, 2 weeks ago before most people did.
Yeah.
Had Lemuelu still in his team, played him against the Doggies, had that like really innocuous. There was nothing in that HIA that he failed within about 2 minutes of going off. Poor old Spy was rightly so shattered. The Cowboys, the Dolphins, I saw a story, they've contested, like they said it was being a grade 1 concussion, Cat 1 concussion, and they said they didn't think it was, and it's gone back, and they reckon it shouldn't be stood down, and they were like, it was all good to go. So
I hadn't seen or heard any of that. Yeah,
so
right.
Not only was it brutal for anyone who saw Lemuelu on the weekend, the Dolphins in general, that had a massive impact on that game. But
for sure,
I remember seeing the knock. I was actually with the Spy, and we said, sweet, nothing, to be back in 15 minutes. They failed him within about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, wow.
Weird. So, I mean, based on all that, I think he'd be right to go.
Yeah. Knights, geez, I hate talking about HIAs when we're anywhere near Newcastle Knights. Nothing has been changed there or anything. They're all good to go. Kalen Ponga 100 plus. South Sharkies is the second leg of the double header. 7:35 from Perth. South Sydney, Tane Milne on the wing. Ty Munro, I don't know if he's focusing on HSC. I don't know if I don't know what the go is here. Trials obviously start this week, so I think if Ty Munro was focusing on his HSC, he probably wouldn't be going to Perth this week, you'd have to think. I'm hearing that he will play. Ty Munro will come in for Milne, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
Do you play him?
No, I don't. No, but I'm happy with the rest of my... I don't know. Probably not.
I probably don't either, but he's going against that Sharks left edge.
Yes. Yeah.
God, it's a good matchup.
It is a good matchup. That's true. Yeah, actually, I've got Campbell Graham, so maybe I would play him. I don't know.
But one to note, though, that we spoke about head-to-head matchups before. If you got Ty Munro in your squad and you're in strife in your head-to-head, put him in your team Saturday night.
Yeah. Obviously, Cheekham, he's on the edge. Duncan comes in on the bench. We spoke about it on Monday. I think South Sydney win this game, but no Sele, no Totola. They are a different football team when they're missing one of those, when they're missing both of them. That'll be very, very interesting for South Sydney. A huge test for them.
Cam Murray, 100 plus.
Yep, not happy about that. Tracy has been named at fullback for the Sharkies. Mulatalo comes back in. Talakai in the centre still, and Colhoun on the bench. You got my mate Iro, who is still on the extended. I don't think he's going to play this weekend by the sound of it, so I think Talakai will be there.
Shout out Colhoun, who we were calling Colquhoun for a couple of weeks.
Oh, mate, that's one of the 17 names I was calling him. I was just guessing every time.
Can confirm Colhoun.
Colhoun, yeah. Sunday afternoon footy, you've got the Eels and the Dragons from Combank, 2 p.m. What about this? Lume comes in to replace Wonga Blake. I think that genuinely might be the most sideways move I have ever seen.
Very, very close to it.
They are like the exact same footballer, the way they play. It's wild. Dill Brown at 6, Joe Offengawi in the front row. Ryan Madison comes in at 2RF, which we'll talk about today a lot, I think. Lussick at hooker. What about Lussick? It's come from the clouds to be a potential 80-minute hooker looking at that squad.
Cop that, Brendan Hands.
Yeah, very tough.
Thanks for nothing.
And your mate, one of your favourites, Widdamoo Greg on the bench as well. A big in for Parramatta.
My favourite Roo in the rugby league community.
Oh, it's uncalled for. Dragons, Jack DeBellin out now. Be interesting to see who gets those minutes, either Michael Molo or Couchman, I would say. I really like both of them, so I'm keen to see one of them get an opportunity.
I'll throw one at you, Guru. I mentioned about the whole nothing thing before, and we talked about Lay, but look, I don't love it, but for sides struggling with depth, Dan Russell, with DeBellin gone, he's dual 2RF CT dub, starting back row, 243k. You wouldn't be putting him near your starting side, but just for depth, like he's had 2 80-minute games the last 2 weeks, scored 43 and 44, in those times base of 47 and 44, 0 attack. An option?
I don't hate it. I won't be doing it, but I don't hate it at all.
I think if you're a side that's weak on depth, particularly at CT dub or 2RF, rather than a straight NAF, it'll cost you 43 grand extra. You've got a bloke who, he's not locked into the spot. He could become bench fodder in a emergency, but with 2-3 rounds to go, you might not have a 17 on deck, and you could have an 80-minute edge back rower.
He's not locked into the spot, but Sua's out for the season, I believe. I would rather have him there than Ben Murdoch-Masila.
Yeah.
Jack Bird, there seems to be some form of injury cloud there. Even when he does play, he plays left side anyway.
Yeah.
I reckon he is kind of safe.
Yeah, DeBellin gone now as well.
Yeah, so that just takes... Yeah, I reckon he is safe. I reckon he'll stay in that spot.
And then is it Billy Burns on the other edge?
Billy Burns on the left edge, he's on the right, yeah.
So even if they do decide to bring, say, Bird onto an edge, it's maybe not a 50-50 toss-up, but Burns could go before Russell. Like, as I said, don't rush to do it, but if you're weak and you got no depth, I'd be going him before enough.
Yeah, I back that. Good shout. Raiders and the Tigers, 4 p.m. GIO Stadium for the Raiders. We spoke about the other day. Rapana has been named at fullback. Sebastian Christensen, Kotrick on the wing. Jared Croker out. Have we got anything there?
I think they're just resting him before his 306th.
Oh, fuck, that is unreal. Didn't they... obviously playing along with that joke. The game that he got rested last time was against the Tigers too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
wasn't
it was.
Campbelltown? Yeah. That's probably your best work. That's very good. For the Tigers, the other one we spoke about this week was Matamua getting him on the bench. Thank God he's been put in there, but no other changes to that side. What do you want to touch on now, mate, or do we want to go straight to questions? Do you want to go through our trades?
Let's go to trades, mate, because I've got a good talking point there for us.
Okay, sweet. Run us through.
All right. So we went through our trades on the Playbook Potty last night, and Darusi, the clever bugger, absolutely rattled me just before the show finished. And he goes, gave me all these nice raps, said some kind things, and he goes, mate, why aren't you just swallowing your pride and getting Kalen Ponga in? And it's like my life turned on its head, and I just went, yeah, fair. So I had my trade plan, and it was around the idea of...
Just interrupt you quickly. Is there anything worse that can be said to you than, why don't you just swallow your pride?
Yeah.
That shits me to no end.
Big time. And
my mum and my wife have that one in their back pocket, and they know they can use it whenever and just rattle me.
It works every time.
Yeah, every time.
Live show, I just went, And what was funny is that I said I was looking at getting Watani Zalesniak in this week and nothing, say, Tyrone Peachy, and then with an eye to Tino Fasuamalawi next week. And then he goes, why don't you just get KP in? There are two things into that. One is that he costs over $1 million. Yep. And I was just like, I can't do it at that point. And I look back on it now, and I was so scarred by what he did to me last year that I just dug the heels in. I'm like, screw it, because as soon as I bring him in, he's getting a concussion 3 minutes into the game. But I look back on it now, and like as Ad said, I've got the money to do it and get him in. I can go Tedesco to him. I'm like, well, everyone's got him. What am I going to achieve out of it? But is it the one where you just swallow your pride and go, he could just send me to my grave?
He's Latrell from last year for you.
He
That's exactly what he is for you.
Yeah, and it's, to this point, sure, he's hurt me, but at the same time, like, barring last week, Teddy's also had a good run, and it's not been great for obvious reasons. But if I call it now and just get him in with that brilliant run home where he probably averages 100 plus, it's like, ouch. But people only brought him in last week and the week before and the week before, so it's not like they had him for all of those tons.
I think that's what has separated you and me. That's what's got me back into it.
Yeah,
It's the compounding. You don't have Marsu either.
Yeah, I think the compound for sure. So what I'm keen to get your thoughts on is that here's the situation. Essentially, what I can do is if I get Kalen Ponga for James Tedesco, which, sweet, looks like a great trade. I'm happy to run with Teddy for the run home, but I'd prefer, obviously, Ponga. It'll likely cost me Tino just because I've got Tarpanay and Tohu in my front row, and the weak spot, which I've said for a while, is in my entire squad, is my front row bench of Fino and Pele. Neither of those boys have a bye in the run home, so it's all good in theory. I'm happy to run with those two for the run home and prioritise elsewhere, being like Kalen Ponga, Dallin, etc. I've got 5 trades going into this week, so if one of them goes down, it just means I flip one of them, or like a back row of Jules to Payne Haas or like Adam Fanua Blake, because they're 100, 130 odd K cheaper than Tino, which is fine. I want Tino, but at the end of the day, he's still a front rower and he's over 800K.
Yep.
So it'll cost me him. It'll be borderline, depending on how Ramian goes against the Bunnies, but could cost me Dallin. But the question is, do I just bite the bullet, swallow the pride, and get Ponga in? What do you reckon? Take out this chalice next to me in our head.
I don't want you to do it.
Of course,
because I think if you don't do it, I think I'll be very hard to run down from there. But Mate, the way that I look at KP, plays the Dolphins this week, I'm confident the Newcastle Knights score 4 tries plus in that game. He then plays the Canterbury Bulldogs. He then plays South Sydney, who's, the toughest matchup there, but South Sydney are no strangers to
probably only
conceding
gets
points.
140 in
I'll
that
say
game.
this as well. I'm expecting Ty Munro to be playing right wing there. Going up against Greg Marshall, if KP can just get him one-on-one, he doesn't even have to put him in
not a
space.
chance.
He'll crash over. There'll be points there. Sharkies, granted, he'll be going up against that right edge, not the
Better
left edge, but the Sharkies they're conceding points. Finishes with the Dragons on a Sunday afternoon.
I have to do it, don't I?
I think you have to do it. I personally do. Yeah.
And the beauty, look at me trying to silver line it.
Like I genuinely think he could average 100 in the next few weeks.
And I can't watch a Newcastle game.
Yep.
It's been unbearable. The beauty of it is, with 5 trades left going into this week, if he gets injured and HIA can cast 5 minutes in or whatever and he becomes a sell, it actually works out fine in the sense that because I've got trades, I can flip him out, whereas a heap of people don't have trades and can't do that. So if I do it, aside from rattling my trade plan a little bit, I can get him out. It'll only cost me 1 extra trade. Because say I was to go like Teddy to maybe Walsh or something, I'd be going Teddy to Ponga and then Ponga to Walsh or whoever it might be. So it cost me 1 extra trade. So, mate, I think I'm just going to bite the bullet.
In his last 6 games, he's gone below 90 once.
I'm aware of his run. I'm aware of his history.
And that was against Penrith where he still scored 50.
As I said, he's hurt me a lot the last month or so when people have flocked, but he can just put a knife through my season if I don't get him in. So I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and get Kalen Ponga.
Tough spot to be. God, it sucks buying $1 million player. But
yeah, it does. But again, this is the beauty of I've set my side up. I've got depth across the board, except front row forward. I've got money in the bank. I've got trades. I can do it. If I hadn't set myself up, I'd be going, at this stage, I can't pay over $1 million for him.
Is there any way for you to get to Mars you as well? Or is that just too much? Like, can you downgrade anyone?
There's ways, but I'm happy to not go all in on it. Like, put it this way, Ponga's so highly owned, Marju's at like 80%. I'm happy not to go both of them. I'd love Marju, but I'm thinking next week pod route of Dallin. I wanted Dallin this week, but I said we'll find out this weekend, but I can hopefully go Ramey and straight to Dallin in one trade next week.
So right now, do you think you're going to go KP?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think I have to. I really do.
Yep, fair shout. My trades this week, I am thinking that I will go Jack Tabellin to Ryan Madison. And then I think I'm going to go Val to Gagai.
DeBellin to Madison, Val to Gagai.
I've got a potential eye on a pod for next week trading out. So Gutho plays the Dragons this week. I'm going to take that good matchup. Heading into next week. Do we assume Ryan Madison's going to play left edge?
I don't know. I think it's... I really don't know because Cardi's obviously been playing on the right.
Yep. Cardi started on the left this year, didn't he?
Yeah, and I feel as though Madison has played the majority of his footy on the right edge. Yep. So I'm thinking probably goes to the right. Yeah. You prefer him on the left outside D.
I just think, do you want to put Bryce Cartwright out there defending with Bailey Simonson and those guys? that's my only... I wonder if they'd
You'd also be putting him with Dill Brown, though, who's a beast.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to lead to and say. If Ryan Madison's on the left edge, I will seriously consider Dill Brown next week. That interests me a lot. If he's playing left edge.
Who are you 5'8"?
At the moment, I've got KP and Walker, so I'd move KP to fullback. Oh,
that's right, yeah, Munster.
And then I'd downgrade Gutho to Dill Brown, which would then leave me with enough cash in 2 weeks' time, in next week to get Tino as well. So that's my...
So then Mad Dog Munster delivers me the title.
Potentially. Yeah. Well, it's either going to be Dill Brown or Munster for me, one of the two.
Yeah.
But I would only consider Dill Brown if Maddo's playing left edge. And even then, I would still have to toss it. He's obviously got the bye. Cam Munster doesn't. So
yeah, I am a very happy Maddo owner. Is there any concern that Para playing the second last game of the round, he goes back to the bench and plays 50?
Oh, yeah, quite possibly, but fuck knows.
I mean, even then, he's still rock solid.
Yeah, I'll give you the hot tip. The one thing I won't be predicting is what Brad Arthur does with his interchange. Yeah. So
don't lose sleep over it.
Yeah. So, I will bring in Maddo and Gagai. What are your thoughts on the Gagai one? I just think at 2%, very few people are going to be able to bring him in, probably outside of Val owners, to be fair. But I think that people will try and go a little bit cheaper with the Val swap to free up cash elsewhere. But
Yeah, mate, how do you knock the numbers
Yeah.
that he's just out? This is averaging 72, 73 points, and they've got a dream run home, so why not?
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm looking at. I've got Campbell Graham this week going up against that Sharkies left edge, which I'm excited about, and then Gagai in round 26 goes up against that left edge as well. So
Outstanding.
yeah, that's a matchup that I'm targeting. there.
Graham's got a big one in him this week.
Yeah, I need him to have a big one this week because last week was
'Cause you
frustrating.
busted him.
Yeah. Okay,
Skippers.
Which direction are you going in?
If I'm bringing Ponga in, I'll probably just go him against the Dolphins. Like,
Yeah.
how counterproductive would it be if I swallowed my pride, brought him in, didn't captain him, and he got 250?
Yeah, I will probably. Who the Sharkies got South Sydney? I'll probably go Nath Cleary VC. Yeah,
I'm thinking the same.
Nath Cleary VC into. Yeah, I think KP is going to be the pick there, isn't he?
I reckon so, mate.
If you don't have a KP or whatever, and you've got one of these Parramatta boys, whether it be Gutho, Mitch Moses, I don't mind them against the Dragons at Combank. I think they put on a score there. But geez, KP at the moment, especially with goal kicking, going to be hard to turn down.
That was the real dagger in my season. Well, sorry, among a few. So the one that's really that I'll look back on in the moment. That week against the Doggies, I'm pretty certain that was the week I went Munster instead of KP. And I was like, sweet, Munster v KP, that's fine. And KP hadn't kicked to that point.
Yep.
Then he comes out and hits 11 from 11 against the Dogs.
Yeah, on his bad
I
side.
didn't factor in the goal kicking, and that's added an extra freaking 20 to his average the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Broken record.
Yeah, I think KP's been a real... For a long time, I thought it'd be Drinkwater, that'd be our Latrell, but I think it's turned out to be KP.
Yep.
Yeah, very interesting. Mate, will we go through some quick fire questions?
Quick few, mate, and then we've got a jet, don't we?
You got 10, Matty? Yep. Okay, first one. Is Nickera a hold until the end? That one comes from Jono29. I am seriously considering trading him out, but I don't know if it's necessary, if I'm just being a little bit over the top with that. What are your thoughts?
Mate, absolutely not. You're a small exception because you've got trades to potentially do it, but he scored 56 against Penrith last week in a 28-0 loss, and he got shifted to the outside backs for a bit. So he had, I think it was a line break and a line assist to bolster him a little bit. Like his base the last 2 weeks has only been 30 and 36. Really, really poor, but pumped against Penrith and Manly. That was a weird game. That was just not good at all in any way. He's averaging 73 this season. If he's your biggest problem, surely...
Oh, he's not my biggest problem.
No, sorry, I don't
but
mean you. I mean
yeah.
general super coaches. Like, anyone with sub-5 trades out there, I would not even fathom selling Britton Nickera. You add in now... It's interesting, actually, that Moylan's been gone for a couple of weeks, thinking, Nickera's edge, Hines, maybe more ball, but he's actually gone downhill in that time. But, as I said, Penrith last week, put a line through that one. Unless you've got a heap of trades like you, I wouldn't even be thinking about it. How many do you have left?
After this week, I will have 6. I'm going to spend 2 this week. So, yeah, so going into this week, I've got 8.
God.
And I just think that at the price he's at, I just sort of...
Who do you go to?
Well, I was going to go to Ryan Madison, free up another 150k or so there to be able to make big moves later. But I think that with Gutho, me downgrading him to a 5'8", I think I'm going to have enough cash to do shit anyway. Yeah, I think the Val Holmes things has actually freed up a lot of money for me. That's
I don't...
Okay.
You weren't selling Nickera this week, though, were you?
I was until yesterday. If Jack DeBellin got off, I would have considered it.
I would.
By the way, shout out to Jack DeBellin on the weekend. He got a sin bin and he scored 72.
Really? Any attack? Surely.
He had a line break at one point, but still, like he would have scored. If he would have stayed on he would have scored 82 minus the sin bin plus whatever points he would have scored in that turn.
52 in base.
Yeah,
some decent attack. Yeah,
he would have pushed 90 in that game. Just wild.
The Nickera to Matto, I would have been very against that one, but Debs to him, obviously.
Instabaz says, Val to Ryan Madison via Jules. Is that the play?
If you need back row depth, sure. Like if you're running 3 guns and then you're short another good back row on the bench, yep. You've already got a good back row on the bench. Like I don't mind the Madison play, but I don't love it. Parra have got a really tough run home. Maddo's minutes have been all over the shop this season. Don't be deceived by 2 80-minute games he played a month or so ago. They were at 5'8". So I think Maddo, at his price in particular, is a solid trade-in, but I don't love it.
I think you're trying to scare people off, Madison.
Please.
The Ryan Madison scarecrow
You know, I'm
over there.
completely transparent on this, except for when I said Harry Grant last week. That was just playing tomfoolery.
Blake W says, is Manu a sell?
I don't think so. I think he's very much in the mould of Britton Nickera. He's averaging 64 for the season, down on his best, but he also started the season really poorly. Prior to last week against Brisbane, where the Roosters were blown off the park by a far better football side, he had a 5-round average in the early 90s. Again, he's one where, like, if you're such an exception at the moment with your amount of trades, but I think most people are running 5 or below trades. I just think it's very relatively sideways whichever way you're going. You could maybe go Manu to Greg Marge if you don't own him because he's got such a good run. But even people are probably going Manu to Dallin Watenis, Lesniak or Chance. I don't mind it, but sub 3 trades I wouldn't. Sub 5 trades maybe. Like on the run, you've got Manly this week. That's not scary. Then the Dolphins. Then Parramatta at Combank. Plenty of points in that. Tigers. Bunnies round 27. Like, it's a good run home. No, I wouldn't.
Okay. The next question on that, Dylan Earl says, waste of a trade, Manu to Gagai. Is that too sideways for you still?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. All right. Jaden, 1998. Good question here. Hines to SJ. I think we both sit in the same camp here. I'm going to stick with the proven gun in Nico Hines.
I'm sticking with Nico Hines.
Yeah.
We've both got the trades to do it, so we're putting our money where the mouth is, and we're sticking with Nico Hines. Nico's been the best halfback in SuperCoach 2 seasons in a row. He was the second best player behind Pappenhausen last year. I don't know if it changed last week with that stinker, but top averaging player this season. Sharks have it's a tough run home. There's some okay games. I'm sticking with Nico Hines.
I just think that there's going to be games where, and SJ's got a good run, there's no doubt about it, but there's going to be games where SJ's going to need 2 try assists to equal up with Hines, in my opinion.
I'm salivating at Nico at sub 50, sub 40% ownership. Sweet.
Yeah, good as gold. Okay, some random ones here. This one's from Tidy G. Steaks and chips, which do you eat first?
Pretty particular about this. I'll start with a few chippies.
Yeah.
And then I go between the two. I won't go all of one and then all of the other. I'll start with some chips, go from steak, go for some chips. Always finish on the steak because you always want to finish on the best flavour, which is the steak. But yeah, I alternate between the two.
I think your survival instincts have to kick in here and you see the chips as the communal food.
Yeah.
I think you take them first and then you take your steak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What sauce?
Mushroom.
Diane.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. From Christian. Oh, this is a rogue one. Hungry Jacks or Macca's? We've upset someone. Was that an obviously Macca's, Matty?
Serious? It's not even close. Hungry Jacks is so... I tell you what's annoying. So, you know how on the drive from, like if you're driving to Newcastle, just after you go past the Central Coast, there's those twin Maccas.
Yeah.
So there's one on one side, one on the other. I went to Port Macquarie on the weekend and they've knocked down the Maccas.
I was going to say one of them's gone, yeah.
And replaced it with a Hungry Jack's, and I was furious. I was so angry that Hungry Jack's was closed. I still wouldn't have gone in. I went to Oliver's instead.
They've done They've done the same thing on the drive back up from Canberra. I noticed the other day they're putting in a Hungry Jack's there at one of those servos that I think used to be a Macca's.
I like Hungry Jack's.
Oh, I don't mind. I would rather Macca's.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
The burgers are pretty good there, and that's their slogan. But everything else sucks. Everything else sucks at Hungry Jack's.
I'll tell you what.
Fair.
Whenever I'm at the airport, Hungry Jack's will lure me in. That's the only time I'll pretty much eat it.
You can throw a niche shout out there, and I'd be surprised if either of you boys remember it, but growing up doing that, we used to do the trip from Coombe to Sydney quite frequently, and they used to have these nugs. They were like a fish finger shape, like long and skinny, almost like a French fry. And they had the most beautiful crumbs and like spices on them. And they were the best nuggets I've ever had. And they were juicy and unbelievable. There'll be people out there listening that go, and I know the nuggets you're talking about. They got rid of them probably 15 years ago. Incredible. And they got rid of them for just like Macca's style nuggets. Worst thing they've ever done.
Do you remember he went on this rant?
I do. I was thinking, it was
a drunken night on the
Yeah.
Country Tours. He went on this exact same fucking rant.
Yeah, and because we were
And I
talking
think he
about...
also said to the people out there, and it was just us sitting there.
Yeah, that's
He was on
right.
a roll.
We were talking about Macca's nuggets, and you were just...
Yeah, you were ropeable.
You were so angry.
You know the best, I don't remember it, but...
There might have even been a fist slam.
We were
It
probably
was-
going past Newcastle with you, Matty, and we've gone past where the Hungry Jacks got put in, and that's probably where it started.
Probably.
Bit of PTSD on the road.
Oh, they were good nuggets. Bring them back.
I just had flashbacks when he started talking there. It's like I knew exactly what every word you were going to say.
Same here.
Fantastic.
I hope the Jack of Hungry Jack's fame listens to this podcast and changes his nuggets.
Yeah, take the hint. All right, are we done?
Finishing on that high, absolutely.
Yeah, that was a cracker. All right, we will see you next week. What did you talk about on the playbook potty last night?
We went into, for all those playing head-to-head finals this week, I went through the best player matchups, particularly CT Dub with people offloading Val, lots of offloading Joey Manu for this week. So if you're in a bit of strife in your head-to-head finals, a bunch of players with great matchups this week you can go to.
Yeah, beautiful. Might be the last time we get the Warty Boy this Supercoach season. How are you travelling, mate? Are you...
Yeah, not bad. I listen from afar, but I've got Ponga in my team, Timmy.
Have you got Marsh here?
Nah, my fullbacks are Ponga and Drinkwater.
Oh,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Matty just low-key. I've got KP and
Where are you
Drinky.
coming?
I'll have to check. I had a couple of bad weeks that
You had bad weeks with KP and Drinkwater.
No. I had a bad week.
Did you have us in your halves?
I had a bad week, like 2 bad weeks during Origin, and I just I kind
He
of
kept that one quiet, didn't he?
Yeah, fuck.
Want to swap fullbacks?
No Latrell?
nah, I don't have Latrell
Why not?
because I've got Drinkwater and Ponga.
Doi.
It's fair. That's pretty fair. All right. Thanks for joining us once again, guys. The link for Blue Wells property will be in the description. If you can't find it, reach out to myself, reach out to Timmy. Should be able to find it, though. And we will see you. Go and buy yourself a case of Bloke in a Bar, best beer in the land. See you next week.